Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hey, it's been a little while since I checked in with you. I appreciate you stopping by, taking the time out of your day to check this out. Been busy and mostly cutting wood, filling ABC totes with firewood since we got a new wood stove. We're actually under a winter storm warning for I think it's a 24-hour period. Anyway, I think it's like 26 degrees today. We have a little bit of snow that came in kind of mostly this morning, a little bit last night. So I thought I'd do a video just kind of touching base with you on a couple of projects that I've been working on, or primarily one project that I've been working on. Before we get to it, let me give the disclaimer that I am not a carpenter. I am not a framer or any of those types of things. I'm a kind of a do-it-yourselfer, kind of figure it out MacGyver kind of person. And this is not a how-to video, but I will tell you that I'm working on a deer blind. And I actually have been talking to some of my viewers just through messaging, and one of them asked me, well, what is that? And a deer blind is somewhere where you can hang out and kind of be out of the weather and look for deer and maybe coyotes and other things, or maybe just hang out, kind of a man cave kind of thing. And so that's what I've been working on. Thanks to a lot of the YouTubers that are out there building them that are more knowledgeable than me, I've come up with some of theirs, or incorporated some of their suggestions, and then kind of made do with what I have going on. My neighbor is kind of a junk hauler, for lack of a better term. And so the majority of the lumber and the products and the pieces that I've used so far have been pallets that I've taken apart from him. In that stage of life where I have a little bit more time than money, and so I could take my time and mess with these pallets and make them into something. So kind of a repurposed project, and I'm going to go through it with you, kind of a combination of slideshow and talk show, and kind of give you an idea of what I'm up to. So as we do the walkthrough of where I'm at this phase, I will kind of go back and forth and show you some pictures of the progress as we go. So here we go. Let's talk about the floor. Okay, so the floor, I started out and I did purchase 2x6s for the floor, and ran those on 16-inch centers, and then I put 3/4-inch plywood. The plywood that I had some of it, and my neighbor gave me some of it, so that was free. But I did buy the screws and buy the 2x6s. I also bought the 4x4 legs that are going to go into the brackets. I also bought the brackets. I also bought the hinges that are on the windows. But all the rest of the lumber has not cost me anything so far. By the way, the shop is kind of a mess right now because, like I said, I do have a few projects going. But anyway, what you see behind me is the deer blind that I'm building, and I'm probably going to get a lot of criticism for different aspects of it, which is totally fine. It is what it is, and it's at where it's at, and I'm kind of plugging along and figuring it out as I go. I don't really have a design per se or plans in mind. I've just been kind of dealing with the amount of pallets that I have and how I can make things work. All right, so the unit itself is 6 by 8, 6 foot by 8 foot. And I have 12-foot 4x4s and brackets. Brackets that it'll go on are basically elevator brackets. They attach to the floor, the 2x6 floor, and it gets suspended up in the air. And there's a million videos on how folks do that online if you're interested in how that takes place. Some people build the entire structure, attach the brackets, attach the legs, and then lift it up with a tractor. Some people build it like this, then take it apart and put the floor and the legs up and then put the walls back on, and different combinations of that scenario. What I plan on doing is building the unit mostly in the shop. So you could see that we're building the unit in the shop for the most part. All of these are just tacked into place, and then the walls will come off. My plan is to attach the brackets to the floor and then the legs up at the building site, get the platform level in the ground. The legs will be in the ground. Get the platform level, and then I'll lift the walls up one by one with the tractor after the platform is level. At this point, my thought is that I'm going to be going up somewhere around 10 feet. We'll see how brave I get when that time comes. But anyway, so let's talk about what we've done so far. So the walls are all 2x4s primarily that were pallets that I took apart, received from my neighbor for free, and then took them apart and put into walls. These walls are 6 feet high. So I'm not quite 6 feet, so I'll be able to stand up inside. The roof's gonna be obviously a little bit higher, and I plan on doing just a standard slant pitched roof across the top. The windows are something that I just kind of put together. So the plexiglass I purchased on Marketplace from a gentleman. He had 6 pieces of plexiglass. And originally I wanted to get new thick plexiglass, but after pricing and shipping and trying to snag some, just became expensive and difficult. And so I ended up finding this gentleman who had 6 pieces of plexiglass that I could attempt to make windows out of. And so that's what I have attempted to do. So let's take a look at the windows. Okay, so the windows, what I did is I took these pieces of plexiglass that this gentleman had. I got all 6 of these pieces from him for $50. And obviously they're used, they're not perfect. And what I did is I took either 2x4s or 2x4s or 2x2s. And if it was a 2x4, then I ripped it down, or some of the 2x2s I had, I ran the saw and created a channel for the plexiglass to sit in, and basically built the windows out of 2x2s. And so that's what you see here now is 2x2 with a slit all the way through it. So the plexiglass is sitting inside of the board about a 1/2 inch. Then I went around and caulked both sides of the window for 2 reasons, obviously water and for noise because, you know, they would vibrate and rattle and so on. And then I put hinges on these windows, and so they're designed to open up and hinge down, and they'll sit down like this when I open them. I realize for a lot of people's taste, these windows are way too big, but that's the size of plexiglass I had, and rather than cut them into small windows, I just decided to go with close to the size that they were. I did cut them down some. If I end up finding that these are just way too big, then I may end up doing some tinting or something like that. Granted, this is going to be up in the air, so deer aren't going to be walking by looking in the windows, but in any case, curtains, tint, some other options are on the horizon for potentially dealing with the size of the windows, but I just decided to make them all the same and put them where they are. So there might be some weather stripping that's going to go on with these. I want to make them as airtight and weathertight as possible, and we'll talk a little bit about what I'm doing on the outside when we get back outside. But essentially there's 6 windows in here. Additionally, I did purchase this garage door stripping that I'll likely use to go around the windows. I also framed the windows in with 2x2s. Actually, these are ripped down 2x4s, so they're a little bit bigger than that. But the garage stripping will fit in here and, in theory, seal up the windows, hopefully. And then I will also have a roof overhang on the blind, so that'll hopefully limit how much water comes into the windows or hits the windows when it's out there. Once I got the floor framed, then we moved up to the walls, and like I said, taking pallets apart, putting the walls together. Ultimately, my plan at this point is that I have come across several pieces of corrugated metal, and so my plan is to wrap the structure with some sort of tar paper underlayment type product, and then put corrugated metal on, and then flashing, and then I'll have a framed up roof with corrugated metal on top of it. That's my plan so far. This design and setup and what I've been doing, where I've been putting things, has evolved, and so it's constantly changing, but that's where I'm at right now. One of the big considerations for the structure is weight. So the brackets, in theory, they're only rated at 1,000 pounds. So when I started doing the math of these 2x4 walls and the floor and the plywood and the sheeting and all that, you can get up to 1,000 pounds pretty fast. So I had to think of ways to reduce the weight, because you put a couple skinny guys like me in there, that's going to add on there pretty quick. So granted, there's probably a little bit of room for error on that as far as what their rating is, but it's not something that you want to mess with too much. So that's another consideration, and so that's one of the reasons why I'm looking at potentially corrugated metal sheeting, siding, instead of using plywood, which is what my original plan was. All right, so I didn't mention this earlier, but that's where the door is going to be. I did find a door. Unfortunately, it's not an exterior door. So that's probably going to be a fail. I'm probably going to have to look for a new door to fit in there, because the weather ultimately is going to tear that one up. It may end up having to get me through the first season and then go from there. I'm not sure yet, but definitely want an exterior door probably, unless I build one for that opening. That's why this window on this side is offset versus being in the middle of the wall like the other end is. Well, anyway, that's the deer blind that's under construction in the shop. Takes up pretty good footprint right here right now. So I'm hoping to get closer and closer to getting this done, at least to getting the walls sheeted, so that I can put this platform on legs up on the hill, and then put the walls up and the roof up and so on. So hopefully there'll be a part 2 or 3 to this. If you're interested in following along and seeing how the Coyote tractor plays a role in putting this together, I plan on lifting the platform and adding the legs underneath it. That's my theory. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And I will keep you up to date on this project. Hopefully it'll come along here soon and we will get her done. Take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you soon.